Rowan Robinson and Sergeant Todd Langley were also lost. Every spike in casualties challenges the rationale for being in Afghanistan, as well as extending risk by moving outside Uruzgan.
One thing we discuss regularly is that the lines on the maps here were drawn generally by us or by nations that came before us. Lines on maps don't mean a lot to the Taliban and particularly insurgent commanders. In fact, if anything, lines on maps are where they locate themselves because it's something that we don't exploit and they use to their advantage.
The Counter-Nexus mission, as it's known, is driven by intelligence gathered by the US Drug Enforcement Agency. For the DEA, the earlier incursions into Helmand have also been costly. This agent, just one to have suffered a gunshot wound. The shared losses have helped form a unique partnership with Task Force 66.
It's something that we've been striving as DEA to get a strong partnering relationship with military entities. The relationship is remarkable.
Overnight, commandos move in, one blocking force commanding the higher ground.
I don't think you could have slept, the mood and because you know that you're going into a fairly hostile sort of area. You get fairly G'd up for it.
In the dark, commando assaulters bump the enemy. This soldier forced into hand-to-hand combat.
Upon moving back to our block, we came across another two insurgents, and I took one back as a detainee.
The other one was killed?
That's right.
In the observation post to the west, as dawn breaks, further targets present, and 7 more insurgents are killed.
A lot of their spotter and scouting networks moving in to obviously put eyes on friendly dispositions further down the valley. Obviously we were positioned a little bit further out. We obviously got eyes on them and then neutralise those targets in accordance.
The operation is monitored back at base by a range of eyes in the sky. At dawn, the DEA, Afghans and Australians overwhelm the drug lab. Thousands of kilograms of opium base and precursor chemicals, plus refined heroin, is found. The engineers quickly rig the chemicals and equipment for destruction.
The drug lab was inside a very, very narrow valley, and we were at the mouth of that valley trying to stop insurgent forces moving through. Through the course of the day, they had a few cracks at moving through, but they really couldn't get through.
The loss of hundreds of millions of dollars is not taken easily. Closer to the drug lab, an insurgent marksman gets into position to direct accurate fire.
Everyone good up there?
By 11 a.m, the task force is beginning to take casualties.
We got a casualty coming! We got a casualty coming! Yeah, Roger! Go up here. They're going to put the HLZ just here.
Back at Camp Russell, there is anxiety.
A gunshot wound, India, upper arm. A signs, a shock, a treatment, a medic in place, correction doc in place, administered morphine.
A round came in and it seemed quite close to me. It felt a pinch initially. I didn't think anything of it. 5 seconds later, I tried to move my leg and my leg was paralysed. Then I started getting stomach pains, and that's when I called the guys there. I'm being hit, I can't move my leg.
3 coalition members have received gunshot wounds. The Australian among them is Category A, which means getting treatment within what they call the golden hour.
They cut everything open and started looking for fragmentation wounds and like going through all my intestines.
This is the HLZ.
The stretcher bearers and definitely exposed themselves to get me to that bird. So, I think it was probably about 10-15 minutes of running me.
Get the 2 dudes behind you. We're going to go secure the cornfield. Well, let's push back.
The Australian soldiers retaliate, suppressing the marksman.
Go right, 2 points.
Their comrade is soon evacuated by helicopter to a British hospital.
I do remember one of my mates just leaning over to me because I was kind of pretty much naked on the stretcher and goes, I thought you were Jewish, so...
In a conflict where clear measures of success don't come easily, the counter-Nexus mission delivers serious pain to the Taliban, as well as demonstrates a smarter approach to targeting by avoiding alienating the poppy growers.
And the reason we do this, of course, is so that we're not having an adverse effect on the general population and their ability to have a livelihood. So we tend to try and target between the selling and the distribution, which we've been able to do extremely effectively this year.
The profit off of the narcotics production and sales in this country does fund the insurgency, which leads to additional IEDs, additional ammunition, and the capability for the insurgency to put up a larger fight for coalition forces.
Especially in Helmand, the insurgency and narco-trafficking is, you're not able to separate it one from the other.
Special Forces soldiers deploy for around 4 months at a time. There will be no holiday in between. The weekends tend to disappear. Every day is a work day, either inside or outside the wire. The average age of operational personnel here is 32.
Well, generally I do the listening and the wife does the talking, and you've got to limit how much you call home, because obviously we can't say a lot, so there's not a lot for us to talk about.
A lot of the guys here are quite old, a fair bit older than the average soldier, so a lot of them have kids. We understand that they're not just mercenaries, for one better term.
I think gung-ho is the last thing you'd find here in this command. My experiences, like I said, of Special Forces soldiers around the world, they generally tend to be very humble men and women, because I think just because of the reality of the nature of their work.
Studded throughout Special Forces are former professional athletes. Although the Padre does reasonable business, the true temple here is the gym.
It is your time to zone out. You've just come back from operations. You've got to tear yourself away from it.
It's something that takes your mind away from here for half an hour, whatever it is. Something that you would find yourself doing at home anyway.
To be honest, I pretend I'm dancing somewhere or I'm somewhere else. It's a nice escape.
Are they overworked?
There's times when it will get very, very busy. They do get downtime. I just wish during those periods I didn't go and hit the gym.
In the next segment, we return to a Taliban hotspot to see how the fighting has evolved.
That'll obviously be 3-1's call.
The mission this time is to another Taliban sanctuary closer to home. An advance by the Afghan National Security Forces in the Mirabad Valley has pushed the Taliban into one of their sanctuaries in the Chinna-Kalay Valley.
What's that on top of that hill? Over here! On top of that hill! Top of the hill! Hey! Top of the hill! Where's it coming from? Roger!
Victor Alpha, we believe one possible KIA. The other one to be confirmed. We are moving back to the south to establish an HLZ over.
Well, they're close, boss. They're close, boss.
It was here in 2008 when Commandos from Delta Company, returning from a 2 days patrol, saw the hills light up like a Christmas tree.
Yes, but I don't know where.
Victor Charlie, this is Alpha. Can we get those Apaches in to try and identify these targets? Over.
We walked into a fucking bike track. Let's go! That's me, I'm moving! To the right! What do you got? I don't know, there's fire from up there. And... Fuck you! Where the fuck is that coming from? Go!
The ambush demonstrates the vulnerability of the long-range vehicle patrols of old. The fighting continued for 2 hours, Dutch Apaches eventually rocketing the hillside.
Let's go!
We manoeuvred into the village itself. We came under fire, we were ambushed. Within about the first 10-15 minutes, Jason was killed, unfortunately, and about another 4 or so members were wounded.
It was 2 days after Anzac Day.
We lost colleagues that we, whose mannerisms we can still remember. Things like that, they're not just a statistic, and they're not something that's we're here to avenge. We're here to, I suppose, more or less honour what they're over here in the first place.
The mission to the same location begins with a mixed objective, partly